Hello. I'm unmuted now, I believe. Um,
Yes, you are.
yes. Oh, hello, Colin. Thank you for joining. hmm Okay, should be on the stream now. I'm gonna. Ross! Hello! Yay, thank you for coming. I'm just gonna give it a few more minutes to let people come in while I post on social media and stuff. What you doing? Welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming. It's been so long since I streamed that my phone keeps auto-correcting live to love. If you hear anything in the background, that is my husband who is sitting behind me, moderating and helping to run the stream. Thank you, Instagram. I meant to figure out how to do stream music before this, but I forgot.
How to do what?
Stream music.
Oh, there's a couple of ways to do that. If you turn your camera off for a second, I can come over there and set
Sure
that up,
thing.
like, real fast.
Hang on. Okay.
This Wi-Fi here.
I don't know. Gonna feed my Snorlax while we interlude.
You can easily just do this.
As noted in the stream description, I've not done this in literally almost 5.5 years. So, uh, there are things I've forgotten about. I never had music in my streams before, anyway. Um,
What is the...
And if you hear coughing, please don't worry. My husband, Kaito, who is the Twilight Azure in the chat.
That's
Um,
me!
yes, that's you. Um, he is, he was sick. It was not the bad thing. Was not the big bad, thankfully. Um, but he does have a residual cough, which is sadly not unusual. But it sounds more concerning than it actually is. So um, please don't worry about him too much. I have successfully fed my Snorlax lunch. It just had a soda, which is very uh, nutritious, very nutrient dense.
There we go.
Alright, we have music
Oh,
incoming.
well, we're about to have music.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was incoming. You didn't let me finish.
Do that. Sorry, I have to make your mixes bigger so I can see them a little bit more.
That's okay.
You can hear the music.
It's very loud for me. There we go. That's better. Holler on stream if that sounds way too loud. Let us know, please.
It shouldn't be for them because it's not bought it before.
Alright. Oh, let's close out of Spotify.
No, that's what's.
No, the
Oh.
the
Not the app, the website.
not the app, the web. Yes.
Sorry.
No worries. It's okay. Cool. Hello everyone. I don't think anybody new is here, but in case you are, my name's Luluco. I am a cosplayer for almost 15 years. Yeah, next year is my 15-year anniversary of cosplaying, which is very wild to think about because, again, like I said, I haven't streamed in over 5 years. So to catch you up on what's been going on with me, I moved to Seattle about 5 years ago, a few months after my very last stream. And I moved for my career. I got a job in the video games industry, and a year after that, Miss Rona came around, and so I just kind of struggled with my relationship with cosplay in general for a few years. But I'm getting back into the swing of things. And I've come to realize that after taking some time off from doing panels and things like that, because I was kind of burnt out, I found that that is one of the things I really, really love to do is to talk with people and share my knowledge and my passion, and to help others get into this wonderful hobby. Um, and so I've gotten back into panels slowly over the past year or so, and yeah, doing more Twitch streams is going to be an extension of that. They probably won't be super regular. I'm not going to just come on here and do nothing. I'm going to come on with ideas, and I'm hoping to eventually, host actual panels on here. So please look forward to that. The kind of caveat to that is that we are in less than a month moving to Los Angeles. Um, so it was going to take us some time to get packed up and get down there and get set up again. But we're going to be hitting the ground running pretty much going to conventions almost immediately, so I'm really excited to be moving to a part of the world that has such an active cosplay and convention community. Seattle was not what I thought it was going to be in terms of cons and cosplay. There's definitely some up here, but we have three of the largest conventions in the world here, um, and not a lot of smaller ones that are easier to make friends at, easier to cultivate a community at. So I'm excited to be in a place with a lot more regional conventions in addition to the larger ones. That all being said, um, my favorite convention up here in the Pacific Northwest is a convention called Northwest Idol Fest. I have a T-shirt here. It's a convention that started 2 years ago. I attended the last 2 years. The first year as a guest, and first year as an attendee. Last year, I had the honor of being a guest and a judge for their masquerade, and this year I am just a regular attendee again. But I am entering the masquerade. And I thought this would be a really good opportunity to talk through how I make build books, which is maybe that's generous to say because I don't really have a specific method right now. I haven't competed as much in the last few years as I would have liked, and I haven't competed in person as much as I would have liked in the last few years. So I'm learned a lot more about competing and build books and such in that time, and so I'm just going to kind of stumble through this, and please do ask questions. Please do give me feedback if you are a cosplayer yourself in the chat. Um, so yeah, I just kind of wanted to share this process with you because it's one that I see a lot of questions about. I think creating a good build book is also more art than science, and I think it's also going to be an interesting challenge for this one, um, because let me talk you through the costume I am making. Um, so I'm making a Halloween version of Miku. Do I have my? Yeah, here's my work in progress photo here. Um, this is a slightly older picture, but I'm making this Miku, and I actually started it for Northwest Idol Fest last year. It was supposed to be a quick and easy additional costume. It was not. I did not finish it. I'm still not going to have finished it for this convention, but I am going to have it finished enough so that it's wearable, and that I can compete in it. I'm not competing to win. Oh, hello, I'm seeing more comments in the chat. Hello! Sorry. Streamlabs is a little bit behind. Yes, hello, thank you for coming. Um, so yeah, I'm mostly entering this competition to get more competition experience under my belt, and B, support this convention and its cosplay competition. As a guest and a judge for last year's show, I've gotten to know the event manager, the contest runner Abby. She goes by Abby on the Moon. Very very well. She's fairly young. She's still in college, but she cares very, very deeply about this competition. She cares very much about the idol community, and she cares about running a really good contest. And oh, hello! I got an alert. Hang on, we have no stream ads. Oh, hello! Thank you for following, Leakings. Um, hello. Thank you guys so much for coming. Um, so yeah, and I know the attendance for last year's competition was a little bit on the smaller side, which was to be expected. The con is not very big, the idol community is not very big, and the crafting idol community is possibly even smaller. So I really just wanted to show up and um, add to their numbers, add at least have a master level entry. There weren't any masters entering last year, and again, I'm aggressively not doing this to win, and I don't think I'm going to win anything because, like I said, this costume's not even going to be done. So anyway. Let's get started with the build book. And again, please feel free to ask questions about the process as we go along. That's what this is here for. Um, So first I'm going to pull up the rules of the contest. I don't believe they have any specific guidelines for They're for build books, but I just want to make sure. General information, entries and divisions, check in, skip requirements. I'm not doing a performance, just not doing a performance, walk on. Judge on craftsmanship, that's me. Um, craftsmanship judging. Okay, references of the character are required for judging. Cool. References can be physically printed or digital. However, physical references are preferred. So I'll include references for sure. Original designs, not doing that. Build books or work in progress photos are highly encouraged but not required. Great. Build books or other physically printed material must be picked up by contestants at the masquerade. Great. Okay. So, uh, no acrobats? Yeah. Please do not do anything like that if you're masquerade entry. The big rule of thumb for masquerades is to never let the contest director be surprised. You can surprise the judges, but do not surprise the masquerade director. Okay, so my big secret for build books is that I've always liked doing it as a slideshow. I don't know exactly why. I think something about the fact that you can move things pretty much wherever you want. It just makes more sense in my brain for some reason. Um, Let me see if I can change the layout. But what I did for my previous build book, the most recent one I did, which was when I entered Melina from Elden Ring at SakuraCon. um, I flipped it so that it didn't look like it was a PowerPoint. I'm not good at dimensions, so how did I do that? By the way, I am starting literally from scratch on this. The only thing I did to prepare for this was to put all my progress photos together and take a couple of more as I was working on it last night. As you can see from this empty PowerPoint, I've literally done nothing. I really wanted to show you just kind of the whole process. Page setup, widescreen, no. Um, what is it called when you change the layout?
Their themes.
No, I don't want to change the theme. I want to make it
Slide. I think it's in there.
No.
No? Okay.
I should have done this first. I'm so sorry.
No, hold on, I'll figure it out.
Format page setup. Where is page setup? No, that wasn't it.
Yeah, it's under slide, under apply layout.
Apply layout?
Yes.
No, I'm not trying to apply a layout. I'm trying to change it to like a document. I'm trying to flip it so that it's like it looks like a Word document.
Oh, I don't know how to do that.
Okay, I've done it. I know it exists. Okay, I will figure it out later. For the sake of keeping people interested, let's go with this. So, Halloween, Miku, Miko, Master Division, Portrait versus Landscape. Thank you, Safi. Oh my gosh.
That's what it is.
Okay, thank you. Um, nope, not what I wanted. Change to portrait. Um, I don't want to do it on the app. Okay, again, I will do this later. Hello! Welcome, magical girl Nikki. Uh, Lee says it might be a thing you can only do in the actual PowerPoint program and not on the online version. So this is Google Docs. This is Google Slides. So there is no desktop version. I do everything in Google Docs basically. I live in there. Um, so let's. Anyway, we'll figure it out. But anyway, let's start with reference photos. Page setup custom. Custom. Ah, okay. Thank you, Safi. You're so smart. 1.4. Let's change that to centimeters. Nope. 29.7. Oh, you're a genius. Thank you so much. You're finally. Cool. Okay, so I like to move this all the way up here.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with references. I have the best art of this photo already on my Tumblr, which I'm trying to use again. Feel free to follow me there. Print and marketing coming in clutch. Yes, I know the marketing part. I don't know the print part, so thank you very much. I had to dig for this photo for some reason. Uh, I hope you can't see my desktop, and if you can, don't judge how I live.
I don't think.
Okay, good. Anyway, I have this lovely reference photo of this. This is actually a figure, which is why finding a actual print drawing of it was so difficult. I specifically wanted the drawing version because it's kind of hard to see here, but it has some details that the figure doesn't. Will I have these details on the costume by the time it's being judged? No, but we're gonna do it anyway. Um, so let's insert this picture. Unsupported image type. What the hell? Oh, why did it not save as like a picture? Save image as desktop. Let's. Well, this sucks. Okay, I will figure that out later. Um, but as you can see from this picture, you can only see the front. The beautiful thing of the about using figures as inspiration is that you can get all kinds of lovely angles and references. So I love this little site called myfigurecollection.net. This is kind of like my secret weapon for any references for cosplay. Even if the outfit itself was not originally a figure, obviously you can very likely find. Why are there fucking Final Fantasy 14 ads on here? Leave me alone. I get enough of that from my husband.
It knows I was just listening to Sultana Dream.
Yeah, my gosh. Anyway, you might check this site first if you're ever looking for references for your cosplay. You might be surprised that an outfit that you're doing has a figure, or even if it's like the default version of that character and for some reason you can't ever see the back of that outfit. Check to see if it has a figure. You'd be very surprised. Okay, so the problem with this is that it's not just Halloween Miku, it's because there's a million Halloween Mikus. Let me find the name of the figure. The husband is you can call me Kaito if you didn't know. Yes, he is sitting right behind me if you weren't here earlier. Okay, it was this Miku. Second season prize figure, that's what it is. Miku Hatsune, second season. Hopefully that works. I know it's on here, I found it before. Okay, here we go. Awesome. I'm not responsible if any of the ads on here get me in trouble. I don't think they should. They're usually pretty good about that. Um, yes, this is the item. Go over to pictures. And what's great about the photos is that you can filter by um, like official photos, fan photos, collection photos. And what's great is that um, uh, um, you know, if the official photos don't have the angle you need, maybe one of the fan photos does. So, while it's great to be able to buy figures of the characters you're cosplaying, a resource like this means that you don't have to. Okay, so this is a good picture of the back. This is a fan photo, I believe, so I will probably replace this later, but for the sake of time, I will just borrow this one for now. Yay, there we go. Okay, and let's crop it a bit. I saw a comment in the chat. Um, I've only ever made the one costume, and this build book concept would have totally helped so much. Yeah, so that's the thing about build books is that there's not. How do I put this? Most contests don't tell you how to do a build book. One of the things that I really loved about entering SoccerCon early this year is that um, they don't necessarily tell you how to do the build book, but they actually gave you limits. So it could only be, I think it was 5 pages and 20 photos, which sounds incredibly limiting, and it is. It definitely took some creative thinking to make a build book out of that. But I really love that they did that because if you don't know what you're doing, you can very easily create something that's not as useful as you mean for it to be. So I actually have one of the things I want to do either as a stream or as a video is I want to go back to the last build book I did when we lived in Arizona, which was when Kaito and I entered together as Choromatsu and Karamatsu from Osamatsu-san. Um, and uh, I still used a PowerPoint, but I'm pretty sure like each page was 2 pictures, and it was probably very, very long. And so now that I'm a more seasoned competitor, and now that I've done some judging and some staffing of competitions, I've learned that bigger build books are not better. But neither is having a small build book with a billion pictures crammed into it. But nobody really told me that back in the day. So that's part of why I wanted to do the stream is to, show how can you make the most out of a small amount of space. I am going to intentionally challenge myself to keep this build book pretty short. I probably will try to keep it to around 5 pages, not including the cover sheet. Um, uh, oh my gosh, Lee! Hello, thank you for following! Holy crap, I'm so honored you're here. Um, uh, again, I'm going to try and challenge myself to keeping this build book pretty short. It should be pretty easy because I didn't take a lot of pictures. Because it is a pretty simple build, and I didn't originally make it with competition in mind. But yeah, I hope this is really helpful to those of you who, haven't done a lot of build books before. Just checking the comments real quick. Um, it seems like a lot of cons are switching to Google folders for submissions. As someone who's judged, do you find that still formatting it as a build book is more readable? Oh, great question. So SoccerCon sort of did this. They had, I think it was when you applied or submitted your application to be in the masquerade, they asked that you share some progress photos in a Google Drive, mostly so that they could easily access them and like see that you were actually working on your costume and seeing the quality of your work. Um, I have not necessarily judged any costumes where they only put pictures uh, in a Google Drive. So I don't know in practice what I would prefer. I do think in theory, though, I would rather see a build book, just because it really helps to keep things organized. Things are going to be in the order that you put them in. Something might happen when you upload the pictures to a folder. They might get out of order, and having them in a build book gives you the the opportunity to, put labels on, add some descriptions, not too many descriptions, um, but it kind of gives you more control over how your work in progress, your references are presented. So I would recommend still creating a build book in that situation if you have the time. You know, loose photos, reference photos are better than no photos, but I think as a judge, I would still prefer a build book. Let me grab my sippy cup over here because I've been talking so much.
I'm trying. Let me give you the questions.
Okay.
So you talk less.
Okay. But yeah, thank you for all the great questions so far. Please keep them coming.
Not.
I know he's here to be my moderator as well. Um, okay, so let's put the actual art reference in here.
Lee asked if you're entering the competition.
Yes, I am entering the competition at Northwest Idol Fest. Oh, come on. As I said earlier, I am mostly doing it for no, not alt text. I'm mostly doing it for the experience of it and to support this particular convention's masquerade. Um, I believe very much in giving shows that showing support for shows that are smaller and are have a genuine interest in growing their community, have a genuine interest in um, creating a good competition. And I know that, especially in those early years, having numbers is really, really important. So basically, I'm just doing it to add to their numbers. And how do I put this without sounding stuck up? Like I said earlier, when I judged this competition last year, no, there were no master level entries. I'm not saying that like from my perspective, there literally no one entered masters. So I'm hoping that me being there as a master can help kind of inspire more people to continue crafting. Um, this kind of ties into kind of a larger theme in the idol cosplay community. So I'm gonna soapbox for a little bit. Thank you for the good luck, Lee. I appreciate that. So back when I started doing idol cosplay, which was gosh, over 10, probably about 10 years ago at this point. This was before Love Live hit it big, so idols were mostly just like people cosplaying Idolmaster. And this was right before bot costumes really, really became a thing. That became really, really big because of Love Live. And so if you were an idol cosplayer, you had to make your costumes. So it used to be a much more craftsmanship heavy fandom to be in if you were a cosplayer. And because of Love Live and the um, availability of of the bot costumes, that craftsmanship has kind of died off a little bit. I'm this again. This is not anything against the accessibility of bot costumes. I'm strictly speaking that people just aren't making their idol costumes as much anymore. And so I'm hoping part of what I did when I was a guest at this con last year was I specifically held um, panels about how to get into crafting your own costumes because something I've seen is that if you are getting into cosplay now, you might not realize that people do make their own stuff because buying things is so prevalent. And if you want to buy your costumes, if that's how you want to do it, I want you to do that. But what I don't want is people to think that they can't make things. So that's my soapbox on that. I'm gonna breathe for a second. Okay, so we have our reference photos. I don't think I'll do any more than this. I really only wanted to show the back for the little keyhole here and the bow. I do not have the keyhole. I do have the bow though. Again, I was making this kind of in a hurry and not for a competition last year. Otherwise, I would have added that detail. But here we are. Okay, so next slide. Let me look through my photos here. So how I like to go in my the order I like to do for my build books is I kind of like to try to take it one aspect of the costume at a time, kind of one piece at a time. And it doesn't hurt to start from top to bottom. So um, I'll do the hat later though. We'll mark this out for the hat because the hat is probably the part that's like the least done on the costume right now. You can kind of see it a little bit on my dress form back there. So I don't have a ton of progress photos of it right now, so we'll come back to that. The next part we could probably talk about is the dress, I suppose. I don't have a ton of pictures of the dress because it's pretty basic. It's just a princess seam bodice with a circle skirt bottom. So there's just not a lot to show off there, but I can at least um, let's see the pictures I have here. Okay, you can kind of see like the boning channels I added in here. Oh, and I can talk about the boning I created. Uh, so I don't like. Okay, so if you know anything about like structured garments and things like that, there's a thing that you can add to your costumes called boning, which comes in various different forms. But basically, it's meant to help give shape to garments. It also helps um, support and suck things in if it's in a corset and things like that. So the general cheap boning that you can get, like from Joann's or something, is called Featherlight, and it's I don't like it because it's just kind of it's like a thin piece of plastic in a fabric casing, and that's kind of it. It bends out of shape pretty easily, so I don't find it very useful. So what I did instead is I bought these. Um, these are stainless steel cable ties from Home Depot. I worked at Home Depot in college, so I spent a lot of time looking at the various items there and figuring out how I could use them for cosplay. That was really the only part of my job that I liked. So I discovered these many moons ago. I think I've used them as boning before, or I tried to. I'm not entirely sure where if I used these before, but anyway, what I did is I bought those. I cut them down to size with some uh, crappy scissors that I have, and then I used some electric tape to tape them together at the ends, and then here you can see I kind of use the tape to also cover them up so that the pointy ends don't come out. If you've ever used like steel boning, a common way of making the edges safer and less pointy is to dip them in Plastid dip so that the sharp edges don't poke out. This is kind of the same idea, putting some kind of plastic coating on them so that the sharp edges don't poke out and hurt me. So I don't actually know how well this works as like a featherlight boning replacement in theory. I certainly wouldn't use this in a corset, but for something um, like this bodice where, uh, you know, I'm still going to be wearing like a bra underneath, so that's where the support is coming from, not so much the top itself. It's more to help keep the top in place and keep it from bunching around my waistline. I think from what I've seen from putting it on during testing, I think it'll do a good job at that. But I certainly wouldn't use this for like a proper corset. Oh, hi Clover! Thank you for coming. Uh, hopefully, I'll still be around when you're done teaching your class. Okay, so there's this picture and that one that's dark. Okay, so let's pop in this guy. And that's what I like about Google Docs is that it's very integrated. So if you have a folder of your photos on Google Drive, you can very easily just kind of drop them in. No, I didn't want to squish it. I wanted to crop it. There we go. So one of the big mistakes that I made a lot when I made build books back in the day, aside from having way too many pages, I would have a lot of text. Actually, not so much on my older build books, but definitely on my build book for Crunchyroll Hime's Cosplay Cup back in 2020. So if you're familiar with me and my work, you know that I've been on staff for Hime Cup for 2021 and 2022. But back in 2020, I was one of the very first ever contestants. And to date, that is the only like virtual competition I've ever been in. Um, but as you could probably guess, there's no in-person judging. So the build book is basically everything that the judges have to go off of, aside from your virtual videotaped performance. Um, so uh, having to properly convey everything you've done for your costume with just a build book, and the build book was limited to 5 pages, um, was very, very difficult. I think it was a very good challenge, and I think it's one that, again, if you really want to test your build book abilities, trying to, limit yourself as much as possible, well, within reason, um, is a great way of doing it. But I put so much text in that build book. It was meant to like make up for all of the talking that I wasn't doing with the judges directly in a judging room like I normally would be. But what I came to realize after joining the staff and seeing a lot of those being on the other side of seeing the build books, is that uh, you just don't have time to read all of that, even if you are in the judging process, and especially if you're judging in person, and your judging time is limited to 5 minutes per entry, and you have to get through every entry, in just a few hours. Nobody's reading, so instead of I think it's still good to have some bullet points to help describe what it is that they're looking at, but don't go for paragraphs and paragraphs of text. It's not doing you any favors, unfortunately. So I'm gonna throw in a text box, and I'm gonna resize the heck out of all this later. We'll just see how many pictures we end up with. So this is a basic princess seam strapless bodice lined with cotton. I don't want to say it was boned. Even though I think that's technically the term. Um, we'll just talk about the boning in a second, I guess, when I actually add the picture in. Um, but you can't really see the princess seams too well here, so I don't mind calling out that that's what it is. Okay, so next I'm going to add in. Nope. Nope. Image from Drive. Gonna add in the picture of my fake boning, or it's not fake, you know what I mean. Alternative boning. That sounds like a grinder category. Stop. Thank you for laughing at that, honey.
Sappy says it's like attending one of your panels.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad, because that's I said this earlier, but that's part of why I want to start streaming again, is because Um, I just want to be able to do panels and that type of content outside of cons. I've come to realize that that's one of the things I really love doing. That's part of why I don't even want to be a guest at cons for the glory. That's nice. I want to do it so I can do more panels. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna start doing my own panels type of thing. So I'm glad that that's the vibe you're getting, Sappy. That makes me happy. Okay. How do I explain this? Um, okay, let's start here. So I'll say it was lined with cotton, boning channels added. One of the things I wish I'd done with the bodice is I wish I'd given it a middle layer. So I don't know too much about corset making, but from what I do know, there's usually like three layers. So there's your fashion fabric on the outside. There's a middle layer, um, usually called cotil, I think is the word, which I believe is a specific type of fabric. It's a very kind of like heavy canvas denim type of thing. That's the fabric that kind of like does all the work in a sense, and then you have a lining on the inside. So I did not do an inner layer on this, and I wish I had, because the inner layer is usually where you add the boning channels, and I did not do that on this. I added them to the lining, um, which I think is ultimately okay for something that, again, the boning is not doing a ton of work here. Um, but I kind of wish I'd done it anyway. I don't have any scraps of it, but um, one of the fun things that I'll hopefully show you guys later is that the top is lined with Halloween fabric, because naturally. I'm walked by the Halloween fabric very sadly every year because I generally don't buy any if I don't have any projects in mind. So whenever I can line something in Halloween fabric, I always go for it. Okay, so okay, my text box is still here. Sweet. Um, Boning made with steel cable ties encased in electric tape. Sure. um, so one of the other things I like to do when I'm working on a build book is it really does help me kind of see what types of photos I might be missing. Um, so at this point, part of why I haven't taken pictures of it yet is because I haven't really started it. But one of the things I want to talk about is um, uh, the things I did on the skirt. Nothing super special, but I am going to be using bias tape to hem the skirt. Normally, I like to use horsehair braid for this type of thing because that really adds a lot of fluff to it. It's the thing that makes magical girl cosplays very magical. But you can't tell super well from back here, but no, you can. You can see, like, this has no petticoat under it. This has nothing in the hem. It's already very, very floofy on its own. And there is supposed to be, let me go back to the reference. You can see here, uh, zoom in. There is like a purple petticoat underneath. I will not have time to be doing that for this iteration of the costume. But basically, I don't want to add anything to the hem that's going to make it floofier because it's already going to get some floof. So just a typical bias tape hem is going to make it very, very easy to get a clean hem. So that's what I'll be doing. So I'm just going to add in a placeholder for that. Shape. No, I don't. Something's up with this mouse. It's not my usual one that I use for work. Because I'm not on my work laptop. I'm on my personal laptop. Oh my goodness. Shape. Shape. Square. Thank you.
Do you need another mouse?
No, I'm good. Thank you though.
Second thing about your type shake.
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 Shake. Wait. Hang on. I can't see myself on camera. Let me see if I can do it. Shake. So my favorite streamer is this guy named Coney. I don't know why he's my favorite streamer. He is a Smash commentator. Um, and I don't care about Smash, but I love him. And he has this like fake hand that when he wants to like have an agreement with his stream chat, he picks up and he goes shake. So that's what we're doing. Um, uh, Hachi says lining details are so fun, like a little secret. Yes, absolutely. It's the way I justify buying those like fabrics that you just want to have for no reason. It's like a little bit self indulgent. Yes, Nikki, I love Coney. I got to meet him at PAX last year. He was very, very nice. I bought a King DDD Nendroid at PAX. Not Nendroid. Thank you. Amiibo. Amiibo at PAX, and I spent way too much money on it because it was like imported. But DDD is his main in Smash, and he signed it for me. He's very, very nice. He doesn't seem like it on stream, but being one of the 4% of women that watches him, I think he was nicer to me. And he also, I think he recognized me from chat, so. Okay, so this is a placeholder. Bias tape him. And then is there anything else I want to talk about? I should talk about the waist ribbon. That probably sounds kind of strange, but let's take a look at Miku here. No, I didn't want to move her. I wanted to move me. Okay, so yeah, you can see there's like a purple ribbon around her waist. Well, okay, for her it's right under her bust. For me, it's around my waist because I have no torso. And you can't see it super well. But if you look through the little keyhole on the back of the cape here, you can see that it just stops in the back. There's no like cute little bow or anything. Um, so one of the things I was wrestling with this when I was working on this pulled this back out a couple weeks ago was how to do that waist ribbon, because typically um, uh, my approach would have been to just attach the skirt to the bodice and then make the waist ribbon like an actual ribbon that sits on top. And I wanted, for some reason, to challenge myself not to do that. Part of why that becomes challenging is because of how it ends up looking in the back. So let me find the picture to show you. There it is. So, by actually, no matter how I had to do it, I would have had to like make it so that the ribbon was perfectly the same size in the back, so that it matched up beautifully. Gail's here. Hello. Thank you for coming. Oh, thank you for coming. I'm so happy you're here. Um, so anyway, and if I had made the ribbon like an actual ribbon that floated on top, that would have been a little bit easier to finagle. But I also had to account for the fact that the zipper would have had to go through it. So anyway, this is what I decided to do. And in putting the zipper in, I messed up this beautiful matched seam that you see here, and I'm very sad about it. I haven't quite finished putting the zipper in, so I'm hoping that there's a way to save it. But please look at this picture and know that I put it in beautifully at one point. So I will just call that out. So build books are kind of, I think, when you're choosing your pictures, it's kind of like twofold, right? You want to show the progress, but I think it's also good to show things that aren't easily seen. So this is kind of one of those. Whoop, went too far back. This is um. Michi's here. Thank you for following. Hello. It's Samantha. The slime queen. And she's slime kitty emoji. That's so cute. That's an aggressively Michi thing to have. Um, so yeah, I'm just gonna put this in here. Thank you for stopping by between your meetings. Oh, one of the things I wanted to shout out is that the reason I'm streaming in the middle of the day on a Monday is because today is Indigenous Peoples Day, and I was fortunate to that my company acknowledges that as a holiday. So please do something to educate yourself about the plight of Indigenous people, especially in North America. Donate to a cause, send your Indigenous friends money. Um, and or find buy from an indigenous business. Two of that I know of are for makeup because that's who I am as a person, but Prados Beauty is an indigenous owned brand. I've never used them, but I've heard they're very good. And then Trixie Cosmetics, which is owned by my favorite drag queen, Trixie Mattel, who is indigenous. So yeah, that's my shout out. Be educated, do good things with your time and money. uh, uh, yeah, we were also caught off guard by having today off, Samantha. I don't think any of us knew until last week. Yep, Trixie is aggressively white passing, and she will be the first to admit that. But she does come from a Native American family. If you see her family, it's very obvious like what her heritage is. She's done some videos with her mom and her sister, who, um, you know, very much appear to be from that heritage. She did not really inherit any of that, but it's something that she is like really proud of and talks about and features in her videos and stuff. So, how do I put this? Um, waist ribbon. I don't know how to describe this right now, but that's how we're doing it. Okay, so this layout actually didn't turn out too bad. The pictures aren't overwhelmingly uh, huge. They're not too small. The page isn't too cluttered. One of the things I really liked about, like I talked about earlier, SakuraCon's rules for build books. Again, it was 5 pages and 20 photos, no more than 20 photos. So that evened out to about 4 photos per page, which I think is like a really good benchmark. Pardon me. So that's kind of what I'm going for here. Okay, so what shall we do next? Let's do the cape. The cape is pretty simple, so this shouldn't take too long. Okay. The cape was something I did mostly last year, so I don't remember too much about it, but, okay. So here's my first picture here. So what you're seeing is, I took a capelet pattern, and extended it, basically. Um, I started with a capelet specifically because one of the things I learned in the past few years is that to make a proper cape, you don't just cut a big circle and call it a day. There's a certain way that the fabric has to be cut to kind of like sit over the shoulders properly. Um, this cape didn't necessarily have to do that because I'm trying to remember. Again, I made this like over a year ago, so I'm trying to remember my thought process here. Uh, Uh, yeah, I guess I could have gone for like some shoulder seams or something, but I didn't. The cape is done. Well, except for the collar. So there's nothing happening now. But I've not really tried in the past to make capes with like the proper kind of shape, so that's why I started from the capelet pattern. The thing I also had to account for is that it is as you can see here, it's kind of like a high to low type of um, shape. So it's not long in the front, but it starts short and then gets long in the back. It's a mullet cape. So I wanted to start with the shorter capelet to help get that length correct in the front and then add the rest in the back. And I mentioned earlier that I didn't do the keyhole cutout, but you can see that there was an attempt to include that in the patterning. Yes, her coloring is pretty similar to the DQ3 mage. Da, da, da. Why is this? Go close that. Okay, so I have this progress photo, and then I have this one. Okay, so this is from. Okay, I'm remembering what I did now. So I created this first draft using the capelet pattern and then extending it. Um, and then I made a mock-up of it to test out on my dress form to see how it hung, to check the length of it and kind of the shape of the ends, as you can see here. And as you can see, I wanted to change it a little bit, so this appears to be pretty close to what I ended up with. But one of the things I wanted to call out here, one of my greatest tips for all of you ever, since it is almost the holidays, get yourself some wrapping paper rolls, specifically the kind that have the grid on them, like this. This is basically what I always use for patterning things. The grid is really nice to have, for keeping things straight or for marking things out. The squares are usually in 1-inch increments, so that makes measuring really, really easy. And they come in giant rolls, obviously, so which is great for patterning very big things, and they're really, really inexpensive. So that is my tip from me to you today. Okay, so we'll start with the pattern drafting. Alright, insert here. I'm gonna crop this a little bit to get my finger out of there, because it's not really necessary. Okay, so this part is the pattern. Okay, capelet pattern altered for length and shape. And then we will add in the. I keep picking the wrong thing, I'm sorry. I'll add in the. Why are you like this? Why are you the wrong way? Why are you taking forever? Okay. There we go.
He says, dude, that's brilliant. I'm going to do that.
Yeah! That's one of my great. That's like my only, like, cool cosplay tip, I guess. Thank you, Michi! Thank you for stopping by!
Bye, Michi!
Love you, see you soon. Um. Let's see. Um. Let's see. Pattern draft tested with mockup. Further altered for shape and length. And once again, I will crop this slightly. Even cropping a little bit helps save space. And I'm just gonna stick that over there. Okay, so I'm trying to think of, like, what else is interesting about the cape. I understitched the lining, but I can show that to them in the judging room. I have a picture of the bow I made for it, just here. But I don't know if that's really necessary, because it's just kind of a bow. and I hand stitched it on. I took this picture. I don't know why I took this. This is what it looks like on the inside where I attached the bow. Oh, that's why I took this. Okay, because uh so let me zoom in a little bit. So you can see here in the middle, this is where the middle of the bow is anchored, so I like tied it at the knot. But to keep it from flapping around, I also did some stitches in the middle of like the uh other parts of the bow. So it's not like flapping around, it sits very specifically. Um, I don't know if I want to include this because it doesn't. Uh, it's hard to tell what it is from first glance. Like I sewed the bow on fairly recently, and I forgot what this picture is, so I may not include this one. If I do, what I might do is uh, draw over it to help explain what I mean. So one of the cool things that I did with my Melina build book earlier this year that I thought it was hot shit for doing this. I bought an iPad with an Apple Pencil, and I used it to draw directly on um, some of my photos. So I took a picture. Let me just see if I can find it. This is a visual medium. I don't know what I'm doing. Uh, I'm in my second secret window, pulling up my Melina build book. Not doxing myself. Is this my build book? Yes. Okay. Let me share this with myself so I can show you guys. Okay. So here's my. This is like a work in progress version of my build book. I don't know where the final one is. Um, but where's the dress? Ah, here we go. Okay. Let me zoom in here. So you see this picture here. This was my mock-up for the dress, and this is where I'm showing the pattern I used had seams here and here, and this was to show that I had altered the pattern so that the seams, the waist seam was completely gone, and then the princess seam over the bust was slightly altered. It was very, very hard to see this in the actual photo because the seam lines are, kind of small and dark and tiny. So I drew directly on the photo on my iPad using my Apple Pencil to help better illustrate what I was trying to show here. And I thought that was so smart. I still think it's very smart. So I might do something like that here if it's a good use of the space. But for now, I'm not really feeling it. So I'll move on. Um, what else can I do for the cape? Um, I know for the cape, one of the literally the like I have two things left to do on it. I have to figure out how to attach it to myself, and I have to add this fuzzy collar here. Let's see here on the back here. So what I'm planning on doing is having the outside be the fluffy fabric and then having some kind of like cotton lining on the inside so that the fur isn't directly against me, bothering me all day. And presumably I'll probably get some makeup on the collar just because that's how it works, and the cotton would be easier to clean. Um, so that's something I would probably want to show, and I do plan on finishing off the attachment of the collar with a stitch in the ditch. Um, so I think that could be worth showing, so I will add in a placeholder for that. Let's not mess up adding a shape this time. Good job, Lulu. Alright. Placeholder. Cotton lined collar. Stitch in the ditch. I am here. I was just in a dungeon. I love you. I love you too, Gail. I assumed you were playing 14. Yeah, Gail, I don't want to say what I know you want to compete with because we're kind of matching. So I'm very excited about it. But I would love to see you compete. I know you would do really, really well. Yes, one of the two video games I play. Relatable. Alright, let's go back to Fit. Okay.
Of course she's in a dungeon.
I know, right?
Of course she is.
Yeah, it's after work hours. What's Gail doing? She's playing 14. Okay. I think that's enough for the cape. Had I done the keyhole, I think it would have been there would have been more to talk about here, but I didn't. So, um, cool. How am I already? Oh, that's why I'm at 5 pages. Okay, I'm gonna keep it to 5 pages as much as possible for the actual photos. Not counting these two. So we're at 3 pages. Okay, so I'm a slut for documentation. I know. I remember. You used to like. You were like the one person who used to aggressively read like all of my work in progress stuff on Twitter, not Twitter, the other T website. That's not Twitch, Tumblr, and Cosfix. So I'm glad to be getting back to that. Uh, as you can see, I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to get back into using Tumblr, especially for sharing my build progress. But as you can see, the intention was there. I just have had. Oh my gosh, why are you timing out Gale?
Because she said something she shouldn't have.
I know, I know. Anyway, I'm trying to get back into using Tumblr to share work in progress stuff, just because A, Twitter's dying, and B, I can say a lot more than uh, than I can on Twitter. Um, but I've been working on this in between getting ready to move to Los Angeles, and as you can see, I just haven't taken a lot of pictures in general of this costume. So I'd like to go back and do a full write up once I at least am done with this competition. But I am just luluco at tumblr.com if you'd like to follow. It was the one of the few places I could get just Luluco. Anyway, I think we talk about bows maybe. Oh, I also have the gloves. I have the gloves. I do have the gloves finished. They are here. They're not in any of the work in progress photos because they look kind of silly on a dress form. But that's my hair tie. Here they are. They're very cute and very fluffy. Um, I wish there were other places people could share long form work in progress and stuff. Yeah, I agree. There's kind of a void for that sort of thing. I hope like Tumblr can kind of make a comeback. These are not the best gloves I've ever made. As you can see, I think my nails must again. This is a part of the costume I started last year. I think my nails must have been really long when I made these because like I always like I trace around my nails obviously when I make the glove pattern, but um they're just like way they're kind of long and a little bit misshapen. So the secret, or rather the workaround for now, is to just pull the the fingers down really taut so that they're kind of bunchy around like the in between of the fingers, but it disguises how ugly the ends are. Again, that's one of the things I want to fix, but it's just not a priority for now. Luluco gloves, yes. For those of you who don't know, I have like the I don't know if it still is, but it was like the most like the number one Google result for making gloves for cosplay for a long time. Um, So yeah, I still do them the exact same way with freezer paper and tracing hand turkeys. Um, but yeah, here they are. Aren't they so cute? Um, I had a fun time doing the cuffs. I will show you what I did because I had a hard time showing this in the actual progress book. Um, but if you look on the inside here, you can see that there's no seam. It is all hidden underneath the fur here. That is because I hand stitched it closed. I stitched in the ditch. Um, so the stitches are actually on the outside underneath the fur, but they're hidden so you can't really see them. And then when I pulled the needle through, I caught the fur on the back and pulled it taut, and then just sewed it around like that. Um, and then one of the other things I did is when you sew fur, especially with a machine, the pile of the fur tends to get caught underneath the stitches, and so I went underneath where I machine stitched the the cuff to the glove, and I used the end of uh, a comb, like a rat tail comb, to pull um, the fur pile out from under the seams, so that it wouldn't lose any of its fluffiness. Um, and I have no idea how to show any of that in this build book. Mm. Could you get me a refill, please? Thank you. Um, so that is something I will need to cover. So let me add in a placeholder for that. Um, but the gloves and the cape both have ribbons, so I might talk about those next. I may combine the ribbons page with the gloves page because I don't have a ton of pictures for either, nor do I have a whole lot to talk about. But for now, we'll just give them their own separate pages. Oh, thank you.
What?
Yes, it sure is.
Hey,
What?
you need a break, man.
Okay. Um. Alrighty. So ribbons. Okay. I don't have a ton of progress pictures on these.
Good, good, good. Learning is good.
Issei, thank you for following. I'm glad you're learning so much. I really am glad to hear that. That's exactly what I wanted out of this
Also,
stream.
Blackie Chew could follow. I don't know who that is.
Blackie Chew. Oh, that's Kira. She likes wrestling. Thank you for following.
Yo, I love wrestling. Wrestling's great.
I'm glad you're streaming because there was something cosplay I definitely wanted to work on, but my monkey brain was like, hee 14. Yeah, I know the monkey brain. Um, uh, okay, ribbons. Yay! Let's work on cosplay together. That's what I love about these types of streams, is that it's just great to inspire and be inspired. So I didn't take pictures of this, and I will probably go back and do that. Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you for following Magical Girl Nikki. I appreciate it. Um, so, uh, you can see here, here's one of the very tiny purple bows I made. That's ended up on the cuff of the gloves here. There's also some that go on the shoes, so I have a couple more of those. That's just made from some stretch taffeta. Let me talk about my fabrics a little bit. So here's like a swatch board I made a year ago. I think it's in here somewhere, but anyway, here's a picture of it. Um, So I was actually able to use a lot of fabrics I already had on hand for this, which is really awesome. I always like to use my stash whenever I can. I'm not the best at cosplaying on a dime, but I get a huge kick out of using stash fabric. Um, so this was like a swatch board I made to take to Joann's when I was like looking around for things. The biggest thing that I had to kind of adjust for was the green fabric, because like you can see I had these really great um, green fabrics on hand, but this one here is a polypoplin, I believe left over from Idle Pidge many years ago. And then this was a, I think it's just Kona cotton. I don't think it was for anything in particular. Um, and so I was like, okay, these colors are great, but they need more sparkle to them. So you can see I have this, I cut out some organza to lay over them to see how that would change the color, how that would change the presentation. Um, but what I actually ended up going with was this glitter organza ribbon that I just found at Joann's. And I put it over this polypoplin that you see here. And here's kind of a scrap of it. Here you go. I just used heat and bond to seal them together. Uh, it doesn't look amazing up close because of the heat and bond. It ended up getting like a little bit wrinkly, but it's not a huge feature on the costume, so it doesn't bother me very much. Um, but yeah, that's how I made kind of like a custom fabric for this cosplay. And it's how I made a boring, flat fabric into something sparkly and lovely. Um, I do want to go back eventually and add some like more rhinestones to the green fabric, just because the glitter just isn't enough for me. But again, that's a future Lulu thing. Um, so I have no pictures of this process. Um, so what I'll probably do actually is I will do a live demo of myself taking a picture, which, okay, probably doesn't sound that interesting, but I will kind of show you my method for um, taking build book / progress photos very specifically. Because uh, there's taking pictures of your progress, and then there's taking pictures, I think, specifically for a build book. So let's do Poplin Organza overlay.
Like you said, it's mood. All of my fabrics I'm using for this project is either from my stash or was just bought from the remnant pile from Spandex House for cheap.
Heck yeah. Um, uh, yeah, you're so lucky that you live near Spandex House. That's one of the things I'm excited about with moving to LA is having amazing spandex places near me. My dear, Blackie does many wrestling cosplays, so that's why.
Oh yeah, I'm friends with her on Facebook.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I thought you guys knew each other from wrestling, but
we don't talk that much. But,
yeah, y'all have stuff in common. Um, okay, let me see if I have any of my other fabrics here, so I can do a demo of how I would take this picture. Yep. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna take you guys with me. Let's go. Alright, welcome to my workbench. It is very messy, as is correct. So you can kind of see what I'm working with here. I'm not only working on cosplay, but also packing and also like trying to clean everything. But preview for later. This is the brim for the hat. Well, okay, it's the brim support rather. I'll talk about it later because I'm doing something kind of strange with it, but I'm gonna eat that for now. So, um, this is very, very simple, but it's gonna be a really good demonstration of how I like to take progress photos. Um, so, what I like to do is, um, let's call it like I try to do like a time lapse kind of. So basically, I show like what I started with and what I ended up with. So here I have these scraps of the final ribbon that I made. So I'll put these at the end here as like the final step. Um, let's see. Oh, fantastic. So this is the poplin that I used as the base, and I just found this lovely ribbon size shaped scrap in it, so I'll use that for the start photo. And then I have some of the cut ribbon pieces here that I'll use. Okay, I think what I'll do is I'll lay this out so that we have no, I think I'll just show the two different fabrics side by side because you can see the end result here, so I don't really need to like. So what I was thinking is like, oh, I want to show the fabric, the ribbon, and then the two on top of each other, but that's kind of what this last picture is. This last part is here. So basically, what I like to do is I lay out. Here's the first step. Here's the second step. Here's the third step to kind of give you an idea when you're looking at the photos of what the process was. I have a good example of this in my Melina build book that I'll show you in a second. So then I just take a picture. I have this big ugly piece of tape right here to remind me to toss this ugly plywood that I work on before the move, so I'm going to rip that off so it's not in the picture. One of the easiest things you can do to make your build books better is to really make sure that the background you're working with, or whatever is in the background of the photo, is just kind of clean as possible, and as is not distracting as possible. I'm actually going to. Ugh, this is not much better. So I don't know how well you can see it on stream, but like this is just literally just plywood sitting on some brackets. That's my work table. It's nothing fancy. It's been through a lot, so it's kind of ugly.
Novice! Hi, Novice!
Novice is here! Hello! Thank you for coming. I was hoping you would be here. So anyway, since my table is kind of ugly, I'm going to use... oh, I should explain what this is. I'm going to use this as the background of a photo. So what this is, it's an ironing mat. It is like a heat-resistant fabric. It actually has magnets in the corners, so you can attach it like on top of I think they're meant to go on top of like a dryer or a laundry machine, so that's why it's magnetic. But you can't super tell, but I do not have an ironing board in here. I literally just have this surface and this mat.
Novice wants to know, are we going to co-stream our ALA build book?
If you want to, I actually haven't told anybody that we're competing together, so exclusive reveal on the stream. Novice and I will be competing together at ALA. Okay, thank you for coming, Gail. I love you. But yeah, I would be happy to do that if you're interested. I lost the other piece. There it is. Okay. So now that I have this nice background, nicer, rather. Yeah, that looks way better. So I'm going to take a picture. I had the flash on from last night. In the marketing world, this is what we call a flat lay. So basically, you just lay things flat and take a picture of them. Okay, cool. So let's head back to my desk. So while I'm working on getting this, let me show you a flat lay I did for my Melina cosplay build book. So, you zoom in some more. So this guy here. So this was to show how I made the gauntlets for Melina. So to show on the left, again, step 1, step 2, step 3. I started with a foam mock-up to get the measurements, get the shape I wanted, and then I cut out the pieces from that mock-up. So you can see here, I cut out the vinyl, I cut out lining, and I cut out foam for structure, so you can clearly see all of those layers there. And then over here is a work in progress of the final gauntlet to give you an idea of what it looks like. So that is something that I really like to do with photos whenever possible. And that was really critical, especially for this build book. Again, this was my SoccerCon build book. The rules were 5 pages, no more than 20 photos. So um, here you can see for my wig, obviously I couldn't fit I couldn't fit all of the phases of the wig styling into one photo because I only had the one wig to work with, right? So this ended up taking, actually 4 photos, because here's what it looks like as the final wig. But because I have, 2 of these gauntlets, I was able to use one as kind of like to show the final steps, and then use the other to show the steps in the middle. And because I laid it out this way, again, it's one photo. So you not only clearly show the steps, but it also helps you be more smart with your space. Um, so I'm just going to upload this photo to my Google Drive very quick. Not sponsored. But it does make it very, very easy. Take a sippy.
Everyone take a sippy.
Yes, everyone hydrate. Okay, so hopefully the picture is uploaded by now.
Well, you don't have channel points set up. We should fix that for you later.
Do you have to have subscriptions to do channel points?
No.
Okay.
You just have to turn channel points on.
Oh, okay. I will do that later then. Oh, the uploading might be taking a minute.
Also, for future reference, we're going to change the program you use.
Okay.
Because the program you're using currently, you do not know this. I don't know if I told you this. They are thieves.
Oh, shoot.
Yes.
Okay.
While it is easier, they've literally basically stolen all of the source code.
Okay.
And not credited the people that they stole the source code from, which is what I used.
Ah, okay. I did not know that about Streamlabs, so if anybody wants to cancel me, I am very sorry. I literally just used what I used to use because I knew I had it. So I will do something else for the next stream.
Don't worry, I'll have something set up for you.
Let's see. Waiting for Wi-Fi. Girl, just upload. Okay. Now the picture's uploading, so I'll add that in a moment. So let's do a tiny bow next. So you can kind of see here, I'll zoom in. Since these bows are so tiny, I actually, instead of doing the normal, extra strip of fabric around the middle to do the knot, I used thread. So the thread I used to, sew the bow together and, cinch it in the middle here, I actually just wrapped it around, several times in the middle, to get the centerpiece instead of, dealing with, a tiny, tiny strip of fabric. So, as you can see from the purple, it doesn't match exactly, but it's much less obvious in person. And again, they're very small, so it doesn't bother me that much. The green is a much better match, because I had this beautiful bright green, like my nails here. And let's crop this. I don't know what to say about that yet, but I'm going to leave it there, because I don't have many other photos. I'll just crop this in a little bit tighter. There we go. Okay, the picture I just took is supposed to be uploaded, so let's add that in. Come on. the add photos from Drive feature is not always super reliable. Okay, but we can see here. So here's a picture I just took, again showing the 3 different steps. Again, this is not the most fascinating version of this I've ever done, but again, it's a very simple way to help you convey several steps or a lot of information in just a few photos, or just a single photo. Something, uh, uh, I don't want to call it a mistake, but like something I see novices do a lot, and I used to do this too, is like they tend to take pictures of like every single step. So it's like, here's me, for example, like here's me pinning the fabric, here's me cutting out the fabric, here's me ironing the fabric. Like we as judges don't need to see every single step, because we're qualified. We generally know how things are made, especially if it's, you know, something like cutting out a store-bought commercial pattern, for example. But you do want to show the more interesting steps like this. Um, you know, again, there's kind of like 2 genres of progress photo. There's one to show like basically that you made the costume, and then there's ones to show kind of the insides. So like when I was talking about my Melina braces earlier, you wouldn't be able to really see the lining and the foam on the inside, but because I showed them in the progress book here, you have an idea of what the process was. Um, so that's just like another way to think about like, what do you include in your build book? What do you take pictures of? And as you can see, like, uh, you know, don't be afraid to like stage progress photos. Like, honestly, if I had more time, I probably would go back and literally like show myself, you know, ironing these fabrics together with heat and bond and stuff. Um, uh, you know, it's not totally necessary, but like I absolutely would do that if I had more time. Um, oh, and I was saying earlier, another just like really easy way to make your progress photos better is just, again, be mindful of what's in the background, and be mindful of like how you're displaying what you're working on. You know, if you don't have a, it's good to like put things on a dress form if you can. If you don't have one, at least make sure it's like lying flat, because sometimes if it's just kind of like laying in a pile or not like laying flat or sitting straight, it can be hard to see. Pardon me. It can be hard to see what exactly is going on. So, you know, being mindful of what's in the background, what else is in the photo, can help, and just like clearing up some of that clutter can help make the photos that much clearer, not only visually but in like what they're communicating. Let me take a sippy. So let's do text box. Uh, Green ribbon fabric was made by layering glitter organza ribbon on poly pop when cured with heat and bond. Um, cool. Let's see. The other kind of ribbon aspect is the neck ribbon, which I don't have a lot to say about. Yeah, you can kind of see some of the progress here, but other than the kind of like funky layout I had to do to get the green and the purple to show, there's not a whole lot to this. I also don't have an attachment for it yet, so I can't even show that. Um, so I'll probably leave this page at that for now, and I'll delete this placeholder. Um, yeah, like I said, I don't think I'm gonna have, I didn't think I was gonna have a lot to say about the ribbons. So when I work on the gloves page, I'll probably combine the two. squish that down. Um, Novice says, yeah, you don't need to see the fabric being cut out. You don't need to see the pattern being come out. I love showing my very first super ill-fitting mock-ups. Yes. That's a great step to show, kind of like what you started with your pattern if you're making a mock-up. And if it doesn't fit right, that's a great thing to show because it helps display, like, helps contrast against the final piece that you created, which is hopefully beautifully tailored and well fitting. Showing that you started with something that didn't fit you at all is a great, before and after step to show. That is much more compelling to me and tells me a lot more as a judge than just showing me the pattern you cut out. Okay. So let's go back to Miss Miku here and think about what to talk about next. Talked about the dress. We haven't done the hat yet. Talked about the cape. Talked about the ribbons. We haven't talked about the gloves very much. Yeah, those are kind of the last two things I'm really going to have much to say about are the gloves and the hat. Like I said earlier, I'm already resigned myself to not getting the purple petticoat done, which is fine. I'm just going to wear like my normal white petticoat underneath for the sake of this contest. I'm probably not doing the cuffs on the boots because I'm probably not going to have time. Basically, I'm just trying to get this wearable. There's just not going to be, the details won't all be there, unfortunately. But again, I'm not doing this to win. Okay, so let's talk about the gloves, shall we? Trying to think, because again, I basically have no progress photos of me making these because it's just your typical hand turkey that I've been doing for my whole career. Um, let's see. I do have this photo here of me sewing the cuffs. Oh god, I tried taking so many pictures of. I finished the other cuff up the other night. I did so many weird things to try and show what I was doing. Uh, I tried taking like timed photos. I tried taking like time lapses, and none of them really turned out right. Uh, um, but let's upload these couple of photos to the folder and see um, what I'm working with. So one of the things I'm showing here is um, so I talked earlier about how I attach the cuffs in a way so that there's no raw seam here. It's encased inside. Um, One of the things I did to help do that is to stitch in the ditch, which, if you're not familiar with that, I'm trying to think of how to explain it. Um, gosh. Uh, it's such a weird thing to explain. So, you have one piece of fabric, like, say, okay, so, say you have your glove, and this is your glove, and you have, your raw seam here for the opening. You attach the collar to that. So the easy way to do that is to just, sew the cuff on as a single piece, like just a single tube of fabric. Totally fine. Um, totally viable way of doing that. If you want to step it up, hiding that seam is a really good way to getting, stepping up your craftsmanship, having a nicer final product. And sometimes the cuff can like kind of flip up, and you'll end up seeing that ugly um, fabric poking out. So it's nice to have it covered up. Um, but basically, to stitch in the ditch, you are sewing right in this. Let me pull up my webcam so I can make sure that you're seeing this. You're sewing right in the seam basically. That's the ditch that you're sewing in. And you're sewing it in a way that when you stitch through the seam, you're catching the other edge of the cuff on the other side. That's Look up like a YouTube tutorial or something. Like that's the best way I can explain it without a ton of examples on hand. Um, but that not only gives you like a really not only is it like cool to like be able to hide a seam that way, but again like that's hiding the raw edge around the cuff and giving you like a really nice clean inside. So anyway, um, one of the things I like to do to prep for a stitch in the ditch is like um, you have to like fold the lining, the seam allowance of the lining underneath. And to get the cleanest effect, I like to do that before sewing it down. You could just like pin it in place so that the fold is there, but I usually like to mark it and then like iron it under, so that it's just I'm so bad at explaining this as an example. Um, but basically that helps me get the neatest result is if I prepare that flip of the seam allowance before I stitch it down is what I'm trying to say. So how I did that was by, doing a quick hand stitch around the top of the edge of the fur cuff. And I did that by hand. Um, why did I do that by hand? Partially because fur fabric is kind of a pain in the butt. Um, and it does help kind of make the inside of it a little bit more magical looking because you don't see if I hadn't done it by hand, you would have seen like a machine stitch around the inside. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, um, but it does make it a little bit more impressive if you don't have that. So that's why I did it that way. Let me see if the photos I just tried to upload are uploaded. It says that they were. Let's scroll down. Um, okay, I'll probably go with this one. It's kind of more of the same, but you can see here what I was talking about. So this is the seam allowance, the raw edge that was created when I sewed the fur fabric to the spandex of the glove. And because I flipped the edge of the fur fabric on this end this way, and then stitched it in the ditch to attach it, that this big ugly thing right here is completely hidden. So let's add that in. I think this is like the only picture I'm gonna have for the gloves. It feels a little goofy. Um, that's not the picture. Nope. Um, there we go. This is one that might be worth drawing on to help better illustrate what's happening here. But we'll just roll with this for now. um, wow. Was hemmed by hand in preparation for stitch in the ditch closure. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We'll go with that for now. Alrighty. Let me ponder the gloves for a moment. If there's anything else I can really talk about. Oh, there's really hand turkey is the only other thing I could really talk about. Um, Yeah, I think that's all I've got. So, alright. Last, I think we're going to talk about the hat, um, which is, again, the part that's the most in progress at the moment, um, but is probably also the most interesting part. So, let me go back to the beginning. This is when I talk about clearing the clutter from your progress pictures, this is not what I mean. So, uh, I wanted to challenge myself with this hat. I wanted to challenge myself to make it out of foam. Partially because I don't do a lot of work with Ava foam. I just don't do a lot of prop work in general, and when I do, I actually like Sintra the best, which is a PVC plastic. Um, but that only has like specific applications. You wouldn't want it for something like this; it would be very, very hard to do. Um, so, uh, um, I wanted to challenge myself to make it out of foam because again, for the challenge of using foam, something I don't use a lot, but I also let's see if I can pull up my Instagram. Uh, I've only made two other witch hats in my time, but I'm very proud of both of them, and I made them a very specific way. Where is she? Okay, this isn't the best picture of the hat. Let me scroll down. Follow me on Instagram. I'm actually like posting again, trying to be more active there. Um, she's like the very first thing I posted when I nuked my profile. Uh, okay, this is probably the best picture that I have on hand. So this whole hat I made by hand. It's made out of foss shape, which if you're not familiar, think of it like fabric warbler. It is a heat activated felt. It starts out as like a very soft, kind of like a batting, it feels like, but then when you activate it with heat, it firms up and becomes like a really, really stiff type of felt feeling. It's fantastic for things like this. And that's how I prefer to make my witch hats because I have a lot more freedom in like kind of the shape of them. But that takes it takes a lot of time, because not only do I make the shape custom, the heat forming takes a while, and then another thing I like to do is cover the foss shape with batting, to give it to kind of smooth over the foss shape, because it can get a little bumpy. But again, that and then I cover it in spandex. So that takes that takes a long time. And since this Miss Miku here has a pretty basic black witch hat, I was like, okay, maybe let's not do all of that. Let's take on the challenge of making it out of foam. Um, so there's a great tutorial from SKS Props on YouTube. Literally the letters SKS. Um, and it was very simple, so I was like, okay, I'll try it out. I even bought his foam, his brand of foam, which is used here. Let me grab the hat real quick so I can show you uh, what the work in progress looks like. So here's what we've got so far. It's literally a cone attached to a circle, as you see in the picture here. Um, and to save myself kind of some time, I guess, I didn't paint it. This is just Plastidip, and I've never worked with Plastidip before. And it turned out pretty good. What's cool about using Plastidip for this type of thing, just plain Plastidip, is that you can see it kind of does have this nice kind of leather sheen to it. Um, and you can achieve that without. So the Plastidip seals the foam, and now I don't even have it's sealed, and I don't even have to paint it to get like a really nice looking shine leather effect to it. Um, so the cone is glued to the circle. I don't know how much you'll be able to see because it's kind of dark, but The fit is real jank. I don't know what I did wrong with my measurements, but the end of the cone was much bigger than the hole in the circle. So it's real ugly around here. But it's okay because we're gonna cover it. Again, this is my first time doing something like this, so we learn. And so last night I um, messed around with getting this shape. Let me pull up Miss Miku again, uh, so you can see. So you can see that the end of the hat is bent in kind of a specific way, and I tried to achieve that, and it looked terrible. If you just take a cone and bend it, then it loses the cone shape. It just goes kind of flat. Um, so I actually worked around this when I made my Corin hat. It's kind of hard to see in this picture, but you can kind of see how it bends here. I actually basically, how do I put this? I made the base hat, I made the base cone, but then I kind of like chopped the cone into pieces to help get that bend, and then filled in those gaps with more Foss shape. So the hat is not bent, it's literally made to have that bend. Specifically because I wanted to avoid what it would look like if it was just a cone that was like bent and flattened. So that was hard to avoid with this. So I went back to the drawing board of looking at the actual tutorial, and I noticed that instead of just bending the cone, they sort of smushed it in on itself to get the shape. So that's what I did. I don't think it looks quite as good as theirs, but it looks. I'll show you some progress pictures later. It looks much better than it did. Um, and kind of the last thing to note about this hat is, so to get this bend, I glued a wire inside. I don't have it on me, I don't think. I used a floral wire, but I specifically use, you can kind of see it here, um, a flat floral wire. It's not as common, but Michaels usually has it. I like that it's flat. I usually use that for making drill curls and things like that because it's flat, it gets covered up a little bit easier. But I also used it because it's actually pretty. This floral wire I had is pretty hefty. Um, so I glued that to a tiny piece of just scrap foam. Glued that scrap foam into the top of the hat here, and then the wire helped to guide the bends and hold them in place. And then what you can't really see in here is in here it's just all stuffing to help keep the shape up here so that it doesn't bend out of shape too much. Um, and I just duct taped it all in there. I might cover it with something nicer, I might not. We'll find out. But yeah, this is the progress in the hat, which does not fit over my headphones. Um, oh, while I'm here, I showed you this piece earlier. Uh, so, as you can see, here's the piece that I mentioned. So, as you can see, the brim on this hat it's not only floppy, but it bends out of shape very, very easily. Um, I have flattened this a dozen times, um, and done it properly, and then just by working it on it and taking it around, it bends out of shape again. Um, so last night I was trying to figure out how to combat that, and the first thing I could really think of was using um, a heavyweight interfacing. That's a similar type of weight and feel to cured Foss shape, like Foss shape that's been heated up. Um, I didn't have any big sheets of it on hand, and I don't think that the width it's sold in would have fit the hat anyway. What I did have is a ton of scraps. So these are all scraps of that interfacing glued onto a very, very thin craft foam. Um, and that's how I'm hoping my hat brim is going to stay up. We will find out. I wasn't so sure about using scraps. I thought that it might bend a lot along the seams, but as you can see, it's really only bending back here where there's no foam, where there's no interfacing. As you can see, it's not bending at the seams really at all. Um, so yeah, I'm glad I was able to use up some of the materials I had on hand. Didn't have to run out and buy anything. Um, so that's how that's going. So before I get to that, let me hydrate.
Everybody take a sippy,
Yes,
sippy.
take a sippy. Can I get a refill when you're got a moment,
Yeah.
please?
Also, Novice asked, "What is your opinion on material swatch pages?"
Yes, I was about to get to that. So, Novice is asking, what is your opinion on material slash swatch pages? So, I am not totally sure, to be honest. I have not, I have neither judged nor um, made a build book that had a swatch page in it. Because I have one for this costume, as you can see in this picture here, um, I might include it. Um, let me think through this. Um, um, I don't think it hurts to have a swatch page. I'm gonna skip this one because it has words in it, um, and that's gonna distract me. Um, I would say I don't think it really adds or detracts. I think if you're limited on pages, I would prefer that you spend that telling me how the costume was made rather than talking about your materials. One of the things that I've noticed that as a judge or somebody who's looking at build books, I kind of tend to gloss over when people talk about what fabrics they use, um, unless there's something like really special or specific about it. Um, so yeah, again, I don't think it harms your build book, but if you're limited on pages, um, then I don't think it's the most important thing to include. Um, but again, my opinion may change as I get more judging experience, and I'm sure other judges who are more experienced have their opinions as well. Can I get a refill, please?
Hold on 1 second.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I didn't know if I asked. Um, but yeah, if anybody has thoughts on swatch pages, please let me know what you think. Because yeah, like I said, I don't have a ton of experience with them on either side of the table. Um, yeah, Nikki, I'm more than happy to talk about witch hats. I have wanted for years to make a tutorial on my method, but it's a lot of work, and I haven't made a witch hat in several years at this point. Um, so I haven't really had a project that I've been able to take tutorial photos for. But someday I would love to be able to do that. And in the meantime, please hit me up if you have any questions. I'm really happy to talk about my process, and I especially love telling people about Foss shape because I think it's um, uh, such an unappreciated material. All right, so back to this. All right, yeah. So we can add in this picture of the in progress. I'm considering it for this costume because I have many fabrics and a few are the wrong side of the fabric. Yeah, Lackey, from what I know, like I saw you say it earlier that it was like a patchwork costume. I think that that's probably like a really good use of having a swatch page. Um, Especially like if somebody doesn't get a chance to like come up and like really take a close look at the fabrics. Um, I think for my costume in particular, this one, the fabrics are nothing super interesting. Again, the most interesting thing I've done is the like organza overlay on the green fabric, which I've already discussed, and you can very clearly see in person. Um, the purple for the ribbons is just a stretch taffeta. The cape lining is like a crepe satin. The fur is fur. Um, and the petticoat is kind of interesting, but I won't jump down that rabbit hole. Long story short, I'm reusing this fabric that I created again with like an organza overlay for the third time. I've recycled it from two previous costumes. Um, thank you. Um, otherwise, my fabrics are not terribly interesting. But yeah, like if it's a patchwork costume, like Kira's talking about here, um, or if there's a if the fabric itself is like a major focal point of the costume, other than the fact that your costume is made from it, then that might be worth including swatches for. Okay, again, back to the hat. Um, you are very big. Let us shrink you down. Um, uh, a good use of text in your build book is to credit any tutorials you may have used.
Credit people in general.
Yes. Hat name is Ava Foam using SKS props tutorial. Would you ever consider doing a live feedback of someone's build book on stream? Absolutely. I actually very much want to do that. Um, yeah, Novice, if you are willing to let me do that on stream, I would be very much happy to do that. What I would love to do is like literally have like live, uh, you know how people like do portfolio days or like they do like live portfolio reviews at conventions. I would love to do that for build books on stream. I just haven't offered that because I don't consider myself really an expert. But I do want to do it as a just to get more experience looking at build books. Um, because if you're not judging or working for a contest, that's just something you don't get a lot of experience with. And so I think it would be really valuable for other people um, to be able to see. Not, hang on. I'm not digging this music league. Uh, um, Novice, the only thing though is I don't know if I would have time to do it on stream in time for Anime Frontier, so if you want me to do it privately, I'm more than happy to. Okay. Okay, so let's think of next steps here. The only kind of like mid-progress photos I have of the hat currently are it sitting on my dress form. Um, we'll just go with that for now. Just drop this in and crop it. Come in. Again, terrible background for this photo, but that's why I like doing flat lays, I just realized. That's why I like doing pictures like this, because you have if it's flat, it's very easy to control the background. If you have to have your workspace in the background, it's a lot more difficult. I'm hoping that in my new sewing room, I think I want to be able to like I want to try and set up some kind of curtain that I can easily like take up and put down and just put behind um, for photos um, for work in progress photos specifically. Um, but we will have to see. That room's going to have a very different layout from this one. So, let's add another text box. Home shapes glued together. They're sealed with plastic. Left unpainted. Left unpainted. Purposely to how do I put this? I guess replicate sheen of real leather. I don't know if you guys know this. I do words for a living, and I'm not doing a very good job of it right now. Do do do. Uh, Best advice I can ever give for writing, of any kind, um, is to write first and then edit later. You can't make something better if you don't have something crappy to start with. So if you're ever afraid of like writing anything and the words just aren't coming out right, write what's in your head and then come back to it later. Sometimes you'll come back and be like, yeah, that's actually the best I can do. But other times you'll be able to look at it with fresh eyes and be able to rephrase it better. So um, we will leave it there for now. Okay. Last night I took many goofy photos of the inside of the hat. Hang on, let me see if I can just show this right from my phone. Yeah, this is I took a very high flash photo of the foam tipped wire jammed into the end of the hat, and that's all that is. It's very like r slash liminal spaces. Um, but I was like, I have no work in progress pictures of this hat. I don't know what else to do. Oh, here's a good one of like the shaping and how bad it looked before. Um, I will share that one with you. And then here's if I'll just upload all of these and we will look at them together. Probably taking a minute. Okay. There's something really haunted about these pictures, and I can't explain it. So this is a picture of like when I was stuffing the the top of the hat with batting, because again, I was like, I don't have any progress pictures, so I'm just taking pictures of whatever I can think of. So I was like, cool, I'll just show this hole with batting in it. Okay, here's a good picture of like how the hat looked when I was trying to figure out the shape. Um, yeah, you can see like the bends were just so they just completely like flattened out the shape entirely. And it just didn't look good. I was ready to just like live with it, and then I was like, let me go back and rewatch the tutorial, and I'm really glad I did because it looks again. Here's the after. The shape is much nicer, and like it's a little bit flattened, just by the nature of how shapes work, but it's not. It doesn't look like that. Doesn't look like it got run over. Um, okay. So yeah, here's the liminal space of the wire in the hat. Here's some of the batting going in. Okay, so the reason I did take this type of picture is to show, again, there's multiple steps shown here, right? Um, oh, hello! Jet, yes, I'm sorry, I almost called you by your previous name, and I wanted to be sure. But yay, hello! Thank you so much for coming! I'm so glad you can make it. I appreciate you coming to support. Okay, so yes, again, I took this picture to, again, show multiple steps. So it shows that the wire is in there to help give the shape. It shows that I had to, like, where I had to kind of bend it, and it shows the batting being stuffed in to help give it shape. So we'll drop this in. Thank you. I'm really glad to be back to streaming. I know you just got back to it too, so I'm glad that we're both in a place where we can do this thing that brings us joy. Um, I might replace this with a picture of it being shaped and bent, because I can discuss that and the plastidip at the same time. But again, let's see where we're going here. I might crop this guy just a little bit. No. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna work at 100% for a second here, so I can get an actual idea of how big the pictures are. Let me crop this one a little bit more because I don't like how tall it is. Um, Maybe I'll crop it from the top too because I think you get the point. That I had to tape it together before gluing it. Yeah, I don't think that detracts from it at all. Okay. So, text box. Wire attached to guide. And to, no, not to guide the shaping, to um, keep shape in, just to keep shape. I think that's good. Wire attached and batting. Wire and batting added to keep shape. I think that's fine. Okay, and then probably for the last photo here, I will show the structure of the brim, like I was talking about earlier. So let's add in a placeholder here. Brim reinforced with heavyweight interface, and yeah, I think that's adequate. I think the hat might warrant another page, just because I'm gonna have it's hard to tell. It's not super obvious, but if you look at the picture here, you can see that the brim has a purple underside. So I'm gonna do that with fabric, and then I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do it. I don't have any of the strips on me, but I have not this, but I have strips of orange satin bias tape that I made them a year ago, so I don't remember if I made them specifically for this purpose, but I did make, I think they are for the brim of the hat. So my plan is to um, cut out this purple brim lining and then attach the orange bias taper on the edge and then flip that up onto the brim and then most likely glue it in place. I would have liked to have sewn it, but I don't want the, because you can sew through foam if you didn't know. But I didn't want it to show. I wouldn't want the stitching to show through on the underside, especially because the um, the thread would be orange against purple. Um, so that's probably worth showing. Again, I'm not gonna have time to do this diamond detail, I'm pretty sure, so I'm probably just gonna, make a quick ribbon to cover it up. Um, so yes, that's all to say that I think um, another page for the hat is probably worth it, especially because if I combine the gloves and the ribbons pages, I will have that will keep me at the 5-page limit. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. All right. Cool. So let's move this page up to hat. Layout. Oh, one of the things I wanted to talk about. So, as you will notice, again, I am just doing this in Google Docs. And you can see from my Melina build book that I, again, did basically the same thing. I How do I put this? I don't really believe in the yassification of build books. Um, I know that like back in the day, um, like going hard on your build book, I think was more of a thing. I believe when my friend and mentor Shar, also known as Tristan Citrine, the legend, the queen, um, I forgot what she competed in, but it was a very like high profile competition that was not typically entered by anime cosplayers, and they were prepared to be looked down upon. And I believe that she hand embroidered the cover of their build book. Um, I think we've perhaps moved past that, fortunately, but I definitely have seen, people put more of a spin on their build books, make them more, intricate to look at, add some graphic design elements and things like that. It is very rare for me, sitting on the other side of the table, that I feel like that adds anything to a build book. Um, I think it's much more likely that it's going to detract and be distracting. So I personally recommend against it. The caveat being, if you are a professional graphic designer and you know exactly what you are doing to keep your pages as clean and communicative as possible, um, you know, that's the ultimate goal. That's like the ultimate thing you should always be thinking about is like, how do I make this clear and concise and as unmuddied as possible? Um, and I have rarely seen graphic design that helps a build book achieve that. So this is my way of freeing you from feeling like you have to, make your build books any fancier than this. You are The build book is to help you communicate a lot of information in not a lot of time and not a lot of space. So anything you can do to make that communication clearer, um, is to your benefit. So that's my take on that. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying it may not be as helpful as you think it is. Um, One of the things that really shocked me when I got into judging was how quickly judging goes. Like, half an hour is kind of the standard for judging these days, and it already sounds like not a lot of time, and then you get back there, and then you realize how little time that really is. So anything that helps you cut through the noise, helps you stand out as a competitor in a good way, again, helps convey very clearly the work you've put in to your costume. is to your benefit. So that's my soapbox on that. So another hat page. So um, okay, I'm very sure that I'm going to replace this with a picture of this. Yeah, it just looks so sad, as does my workroom, but that's just how it had to be. Okay. Um, where'd you go? There it is. Okay, I just wasn't paying attention. Crop. Uh, uh, oh, now I'm second guessing this.
Don't do that.
What?
Don't second guess.
Why?
Second guessing is bad.
No, second guessing is not bad. Self editing is good. um. Okay. I'm actually gonna walk back what I just did because. Okay, let me explain my thought process. So, the picture I just had did not involve any of the shaping, which I'm going to talk about here. Um, I just feel like that's cluttering the messaging a little bit. So, okay, let me redo. Okay, so what I'm going to do is move the part about the brim to the next page. Uh, and then, nope, I just wanted to move that over. Then I'll add in this one to discuss the shaping. Maybe? Now I'm third guessing. Again, so there are many reasons not to wait till the last minute to make your build book. This is one of them. Um, I mean, if that's how it ends up being, then that's how it ends up being. Like, you know, sometimes your time management just doesn't work out that way. I get it, no judgment. Um, but I might have to sleep on this guy. Um, but anyway, the other benefit to doing your build books, you know, in advance is, again, being able to spot these places where, you know, you might be able to, you might have missed taking a picture of something that you wanted to convey. Um, and if you are second guessing the way you're telling your story, then that's also a good thing to be able to sleep on. Um, Again, we'll just write first, edit later. Um, yeah, I don't know if I have much to say about this, but it feels like it shows the process. Um,
Honey,
yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt your thought for a second. What was the first Blaze Blue game called?
Calamity Trigger.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll talk about Blaze Blue any day. I keep every year I threaten to re-enter my Blaze Blue era. Maybe next year will be it.
You should re-enter your Blaze Blue.
I should. Freaking love Blaze Blue. Whatever. We're gonna leave it like that for now. It's a picture. Okay, so this page is gonna be less interesting because it's gonna be just placeholders for now, but it'll give you a good idea of like how I you know, think through what pictures might be missing. Um, and I believe I will be wrapping up the stream pretty much after this, so if you have any final questions, please get them in now. If you think of something later, feel free to ask me on social media. If you type exclamation point socials in the chat, it'll get you a link to where all of my socials are. Thank you, Kaito. Maybe Nightbot is not working.
Yeah, if you're not signed in Nightbot on your thing, then it's not going to be
I
working.
did. I checked it earlier. I even added that very command today. Alright, well, I'm pretty much Lulu Kohime on everything, pretty much. Tumblr is like the only exception. But yeah, I'm more than happy to answer questions. Okay, so let's. It's almost kind of like doing a storyboard doing this. Picture of Brim. Interfacing on. And then what would be the next step? Gluing the brim pieces together. I don't think I need to show that. I do want to show the lining and the bias tape. Um, what would I say about that? IDK right now. Hello, Gail. I'm glad you're back. I'm probably almost done, but thank you for returning. I appreciate you. I don't know if I would have. Oh, you know what would be good to show is how I plan to attach said hat to my head, which I'm not even sure about yet. So horror story about Miss Corin here. So this is a costume I have worked the longest on in my 15 years of doing this. It was about a 6 month process, and even then, it wasn't like 100% done. Um, I have I love this costume. I love this design. I have only worn it twice because the hat is so heavy. It's not made from heavy materials. It's literally false shape. I think there's a layer of batting, a thin layer, and then it's covered in spandex. There's a couple of ornaments on there, but like literally, it's not. It's not when you hold it. It's not heavy at all. You don't realize how heavy just a couple of pounds is when you put it on your head. It was so heavy that I could not turn my head. My neck was so just stiffened up from like holding it up. Um, and I didn't do any like attachments on the hat until I got to the convention. Hello, friend. Hello, Phoenix. Thank you for coming. So good to see people. Uh, so yeah, I think I just had, like a, like one of those combs that just slid into my wig. The wig is also very heavy. It's two wigs sewn together. So it was just so much on my head. Um, so I I do want to go back and revisit it and see what I can do about it. I think part of why it didn't uh it I think part of the problem was the weight distribution because there's so much weight on the back and like there was only one anchor point, so it was like literally just pulling all on the back of my head. Um I'm hoping that if I go back and redo that, then this cosplay will be wearable again. But anyway, that's all to say that I'm much less worried about that with this hat, fortunately. Um, uh, and I think if I just do a comb, I think it'll be okay. But I'm probably gonna try some um, toupee clips too. Um, but I don't know yet. But I do plan on testing it out before I wear it at the con. If nothing else, I will bring a bunch of like stuff to hand sew uh, at the convention. Oh my gosh! Because again, this is just this isn't KatsuCon. This isn't a big convention where I'll be super busy, so I'll have some more downtime with which to do some uh, troubleshooting in the hotel room if I have to. Um, yeah, thank you for lurking. I appreciate it. Um, no, I will not be cosplaying Doug Dimmadome, but one of my friends did for Halloween at work last year. Or wait, was it? Was it last year? Oh my gosh, I don't even remember at this point. I just remember Brittany showing up as Doug Dimmadome one day. It might have not been for Halloween. But yeah, uh, I think she just did it out of paper though, so it was very funny, and kind of janky. But again, office cosplay, not a big deal. Okay, so let's do one last look. I might do. I think I did this for my Melina book. Yeah. Again, this is not the final book. I couldn't find it very easily. But I believe what I did was I combined the cover page with the reference photos. Because A, it helped jazz up the cover page, and B, again, we were very limited on pages here. Um, so I'll probably just do that here because this just feels. Again, I don't believe in like overly yassified bill books, but this does feel a little sad. Um, and I probably won't say reference photos because it'll be pretty obvious what that's meant to be. Oh no. Alright, let's. Um, no. There we go. Cool. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, we'll delete that first slide. Neat. And we'll go into the hat. So we showed about making it from Ava foam using the SKS props tutorial. This is the foam shapes glued together and sealed with Plastidip. Purposely left unpainted. This is the shaping happening, and this is the wire and the batting on the inside that were added to help keep the shape. Cool. Then we'll show the brim being reinforced with heavyweight interfacing. I will show the process of adding the lining and the bias tape, and then the attachments that will help it stay on my head, because I probably, if I'm using toupee clips, I'm probably not going to want to undo it in the judging room, so showing that on the inside through a photo is a good idea. The dress, it's a basic princess seam strapless bodice lined with cotton and boning channels added. Boning was made with steel cable ties encased in electric tape. I will show the bias tape hem that I'm going to do this week. Um, Waist ribbon. I didn't talk much about this. Waist ribbon. I don't know how to explain this. So we'll think on that one. Okay, then we're talking about the cape. So let's see. We'll do a commercial capelet pattern, altered for length and shape. I'll probably crop this just a wee bit more. Cool. Pattern draft tested with the mockup, further altered for shape and length. I'll probably get rid of these bullet points. If I'm talking about multiple things, I like to do bullet points. I think very much in terms of like doing things like a PowerPoint or like a deck, because I work in marketing.
Excuse me.
Again, if you're hearing coughing in the background, husband is getting over being sick. He is fine. He did not have the bad thing. He just has a residual cough. Okay, and they're talking about the gloves. Fur cuff was hemmed by hand in preparation for stitching the ditch closure. I swear I took a picture of me sewing the stitch in the ditch. Alright, let me check my phone real quick. Aha! I did. Okay. Good on me. Alright, that's uploading right now. At the bottom, probably. It's not there yet. Alright, it says it's uploaded. Where are you? Is this? Yep, okay, that's it. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. You can see that the thread and the needle are literally right in that seam. And that's to help close it, um, as invisibly as possible. And the other thing I talked about was the fur pile getting caught in the machine stitch that I did to attach the fur to the spandex glove. So that's what you can see here. So yeah, if you just use something uh, small and thin but sturdy, to help pick that out. You could probably use a needle. I wouldn't do a seam ripper because it'll probably just tear through the fibers. But like I said, I just used the pick end of a rat tail comb to just pull those out of the seams and just make that look a little bit nicer, a little bit fluffier. Um, so let me add that in. And we will, once again, crop. Nope. Make it a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay. So fur cuff, closed by stitching in the ditch by hand. Cool. Good. I feel good about that. Good job, past me. Ribbons. Green ribbon fabric was made by layering glitter organza ribbon. I'll just say glitter organza. It doesn't really matter that it was ribbon. On polypoplin, adhered with heat and bond. Cool. I don't have anything much to say about the tiny ribbon. But okay. So that's it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. So let me tell you kind of like what's going to happen next. I'm probably going to upload all of this as a VOD to my YouTube channel. For those of you who missed it, I do plan on also doing um, an edited down version. So that's a proper YouTube style video. And I plan to probably include with that my thoughts on it. I'll go through like the final build book, probably not on the stream, probably just as a video. And then I'll probably talk about how I feel about it afterwards, after the competition is done. So you kind of get like the complete life cycle of this build book. If I get any feedback from the judges on my build book, I'll probably include that as well. So if there's anything you want me to cover in the actual video version of this, please let me know. And other than that, yeah, we're gonna call it a stream. Thank you all so much for supporting my first stream back. I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy that so many of you came to support and ask so many great questions. Again, I hope to be doing many more of these in the future. I really want to get back to doing more educational content like this, mapping over the panels I do at conventions to live streams. So yeah, please stay tuned for more of that in the future. Just give me a chance to to move first. We're moving in about a month, like I said. So yeah, thank you all so much for coming, and I will see you again very soon. Let me figure out how to end the stream. Bye.
Bye.